So I want to do a quick aerate and overseed on this little ryegrass area over here. A lot of times when you see a pattern like this, it's a good idea to come down here and just kind of pull on this, any of the dead stuff, and see if it easily comes out of the ground, because if it's easily out of the ground, then it's usually some sort of insect grubs most likely, but it could be something else sometimes. This doesn't really pull out of the ground very easily, so it could have just been a hot spot. But I just want to do a quick aerate and overseed on this, get it a little bit fixed up for the rest of the fall. So it is a little wet, not ideal to be doing this right now, but it's the time I have, so I'm going to put this all the way down. I don't know how much is going to come off here because I mowed this with the zero turn last night at about 1.5 inches. So this is supposedly 1 inch, but I've never found it to go down quite that far. So just as far as I can go, I'm going to cut this off, bag it, and see what it looks like after that, if I'm going to need to thin it out. So that really didn't mow off a whole lot, but at least just a slightly tighter cut down on there. So you want to mow it down pretty much as low as you can get it so that you can get through here and see what the soil is looking like. Now, really, I don't see a lot of stuff in here, so I'd probably be good to go straight to aeration, honestly, but this is kind of a satisfying tool to use. So we're gonna go comb through here. This is actually a real mower that just has this cartridge put into here. You can get corded electric versions of a similar thing, which I also have somewhere. I don't know where it is right now. Otherwise, you can rent power rakes from like a hardware store or a rental place or something. That's going to actually slice through the turf. So this is just going to be more of a combing through, not anything too aggressive, but it should remove some of this brown dead material that's kind of hiding down in here. And I do have a catcher for this too, but it fills up so quickly that usually I just put it out onto the lawn and then I'll bag it up or rake it up because it's just faster. All of this stuff opened up here, and you can see down to the soil. It's exactly what you want, even though we are going to do aeration today. You could technically just overseed this and lightly put something over the top if you were not going to aerate, and that would work too. But you can see how well it works at just cleaning out all that junk so you don't have to rake it all out yourself. Oh, these piles on the end where the machine kind of throws everything, and you see now why I said that using the catcher on that thing is just pretty much full instantly. This is also very light and fluffy. I just like to rake up the ends. I should be able to pick up the middle part with my bagger on my mower, but this is just too much stuff for it to pick up. So I like to rake up the ends. You can just get rid of this if you'd like, or put it in a compost pile. A lot of people say, well, you should have been bagging your grass, or you're overwatering it, or there's too much fertilizer on here, you shouldn't have this. This is perennial ryegrass. In a climate where it's not necessarily really the ideal climate for it. It's pretty hot and humid for a few months here where I'm located in Iowa. Actually very hot and humid, more of like a southern climate for those months. And so there's going to be dead material that happens. There's going to be things down in there. This is not throwing too many clippings down on there. I mow this every other day, barely taking off any grass, and this has had one fertilizer this year. All those things a lot of people say, but it's really just a lot of dead material that happens. You don't really notice it because of how thick the grass is until you start cleaning it out, but you'll also see that there's tons of grass left there that's going to easily rejuvenate. So it's a process that I actually enjoy doing, and that really does a great job for the lawn. So the cleanup mow is done. I got all that material taken off of here. It looks really nice. Now I have plenty of space here, all that junk taken out of there, so that I've got room for the seed to get to the soil. Also back here in that spot that had the damage, I'm very happy with how all of that got thinned out, and there's plenty of room there for new seed to grow in. So that's just what you want. You don't want this thick and matted so that the seed can't get down to the actual soil layer. Now the next step I like to do is core aeration. Technically you could just put your seed over right now if you were willing to do a top dressing. So you could just put this seed over here and do some sort of light top dressing over it. But I have an aerator, and I'd like to run this over here. I've had great luck when I do core aeration, leave the cores on here, spread the seed over top of it, and a lot of that seed attaches to those cores as it starts to break down. Also, some of it falls down into the holes and it will actually grow through there. I'm gonna get that done quick and then get the seed out. So aeration is done. This is my elite perennial ryegrass. So that plot right over there, I have not really been consistently watering this summer, just so many other things going on and too many other zones that I have to get coverage for. So if you want to kind of see what this will look like under irrigation, I do have this exact same stuff that I planted actually late July, right around the outside of the green, and it's looking fantastic right now. So that's what you're gonna see out of this. That's mowed around the green at 1.5 inches. So it's gonna have a fantastic dark green color. We're just gonna overseed, which simply means putting this seed over top of the other stuff that is already there. As I said, that aeration is gonna help to have some of this seed grab onto that. All those cores will start to break down and leave just a small little top dressing on the ground, and some of that seed will be attached to it and grow in, and you got good seed to soil contact there. So a lot of people ask how to open these seed bags, and I'm not sure if this is the same with every single seed bag, but the ones that we have, figure out which end is the one that's holding everything together. Once you cut that off, it should open up, so it's not that side. Get that. So now you see this. And everything there is open. That way you don't have to tear into this bag. The way that it's woven, it's kind of hard to do, so that's how you open it. Now everyone's walk speed is going to be a little bit different, and their spreader, and just the way that everything goes with how it spreads out. So I don't have any settings on here to tell you exactly what that's going to be for your spreader, but if you've never done this before, best case scenario is to measure out this area that you're working on, take this, and then for overseeding on perennial ryegrass today, which I'm doing, that's another thing, is that seed types are going to have different rates and different sizes. So if you have bluegrass, it's a really small seed. Fescue is going to be just slightly larger than this. So that's going to change your settings on here too. So what I would do the first time, if you've never done this, is actually measure out the seed. So figure out your area, then figure out if this is 1,000 square feet and you want to overseed 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Well, then you would need 5 pounds of this put into here, spread evenly over that area. So that's about what I'm gonna go with today, probably about a 5 pound overseed rate. The grass was pretty thick already, and just that damaged area, I will probably grab some of this out of the bag by hand and go a little heavier just in those spots. But as far as spreading this out evenly, go about 5 pounds per 1,000 rate on here. So the seeding is done now, and you're probably wondering about fertilizer. Because ryegrass is so fast to germinate, usually if it's fairly warm still as far as soil temps go, here it should be probably about 4 or 5 days, and I should see this come up now that it's about mid-September. Sometimes just slightly longer depending on what your soil temps are. Late summer, if you're doing this, then I've seen ryegrass at 3 days, usually 3 to 4 days, somewhere around there. So it's very, very fast. As soon as I put the fertilizer on here and I start watering consistently, the existing ryegrass that is there is going to start to accelerate its growth again too. So I'm trying to time that out to where that new seed has a little bit of a head start to come in here and start growing before I get the fertilizer down heavy on there. So I'm probably going to wait until about day 3 or 4, then I will put fertilizer on. Typically I will use a starter fertilizer, but it just depends. If you happen to know what's going on in your soil with the soil test, then you might have a better idea what to apply. But generally just a starter fertilizer or a 10-10-10, something like that, is going to be fine to put down as far as when you do an overseed. Then you just got to keep this thing consistently watered as much as possible. So if you don't have any irrigation system, then you will want to either try to set up a temporary one. I have a video on a DIY version that you can do, and you could add a timer to that so that you don't have to be home to watch it, or you're just going to have to do your best to time this around rainfall and hope that you get some consistency with maybe a few rain showers and some nice cooler temps at night, a little bit of dew on the ground, and it's going to help keep your moisture there. As far as watering time frames go, also again, it's very hard for me to say. It depends on your soil type, depends on how much wind, heat, different things you're dealing with, but generally here in Iowa, it will stay with dew if you're in the fall time season till about 10 a.m. or so. So maybe about 11 you could get a light watering on it, maybe mid-afternoon, and then that should hold all the way till you get to evening if you're getting some cool evening temps and that dew starts to come back. So it really all depends, and you might need a few more waterings at the beginning just to try to keep it from drying out too much if you can, but also don't go absolutely crazy and soaking it down. Just keeping it moist is essentially what you're trying to do, which on existing grass it's a lot easier because you have that existing turf there to help hold the moisture. Also those cores, as soon as they get wet here, they're going to help to hold some of that too. That's the process for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.